ask you about third graders who have finished third grade and coming to your fourth grade classroom. What skills do they bring with them? And then the second part of it would be, what do you work on as far as skills in their classroom? Maybe organizational, maybe what you need in order to even begin teaching.
Well, fourth graders, or incoming fourth graders, know how to read by the time they get to me. So they're not learning how to read anymore. They're reading for knowledge now, reading to learn instead of learning to read. And so they're familiar with how to decode words that are not familiar to them, words that have multiple syllables. So then I'm able to introduce various genres of literature to them that maybe they haven't been exposed to before. We work on ways to comprehend things a little bit better, what we've read a little bit better. Things like comparing and contrasting, and cause and effect, some different strategies for building their comprehension skills so they're really strong readers by the time they move on to fifth grade.
Now, do you expect the children to be reading by themselves, or do you read as an entire group? Explain the reading process in fourth grade.
We do read as an entire group. We have a literature book, several literature books that we go throughout the year. We read as an entire group, and we go over comprehension questions together. We write daily summaries over what we've read, including topic sentence, main idea, details, conclusion, and then they are expected to do reading on their own also. For homework, they read every night. And then we'll do book reports throughout the year.
So they have an opportunity then to get up and present to their classmates and be able to really explain the meaning of a book. Is that what you're looking for?
That is correct. Yes.
Talk about your writing, because here at Carden Academy in Huntington Beach, we're really big about writing. And I heard you say that you write summaries at the end of each chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Now, tell me about the actual teaching of compositions, because you do that also in fourth grade, correct?
Right, we have compositions every week, and so there's two different types of compositions. We have the Carden compositions, which is a form that the children follow, that we go over orally, and they're using their listening skills at that time also, and we walk them through the writing process, pre-writing, editing, revision, and then final draft. We also have free compositions that they write with our computer program, My Access. And so we'll take a week or so to go through each paragraph that they're going to have to be writing on the program.
So you pick a title under the computer program, but then you really spend time developing the thoughts and reaching out into the web. Do we call it a web of ideas? So they're able to explain paragraph by paragraph, and then the words become their own. Is that correct?
Yes. We do lots of brainstorming together in the classroom. Children often get ideas from each other. So we do a lot of that together before we start our writing. We talk about main idea, what the focus is going to be of the writing, and then as we're writing each paragraph, we share them with our classmates and talk about what maybe could be improved, what was really good about that writing, and then we go through each paragraph, our beginning paragraph, and then our details, and then conclusion. And then once they feel comfortable with what they have, then they'll write that on the writing program.
Wonderful. And by the end of fourth grade, how many words per minute would you like to see your students typing?
About 40 words per minute.
About 40,
yeah.
That's good. Now, when the children can read real well, then you take out the book on California, and they can read about the missions, they can read about California. And then, culmination, what do you plan every spring?
We take a trip to Sacramento, the classroom, and we get to visit lots of things that we've studied already. We get to visit the Capitol building, which shows us a little bit how our government works, which we've been studying. We also get to visit Sutter's Fort, which was a huge landmark where the pioneers would stop before they would travel on to their settlements.
And sometimes they're living history days. Do you ever get there when they're living history days?
We have been there, and that's when the schools around the Sacramento area get to go and pretend to be the people from that era. and we get to participate by watching and asking questions and interacting with some activities, making cornhusk dolls and weaving and spinning yarn.
So the day is set aside, so the fourth graders fly up to Sacramento and they come back that evening, so it's no staying overnight, is it?
That's correct. We leave very early in the morning and then we return around 9 o'clock at night.
So besides the Capitol, besides Sutter's Fort, you go to the railroad station, is that correct?
The Railroad Museum, which has a lot of information about the Transcontinental Railroad, the different types of railroad trains or cars that you would see during the different eras of the train.
And it's one of the biggest museums west of the United States, isn't it? It's a huge location.
It's very,
Pony Express is right there. How important was that in California history? Pony Express.
Very important. That's how people who traveled west would communicate with their families that were left behind.
And then there's the Little Red Schoolhouse. You always get about an hour session in there.
Yes.
Sometimes that's at the end of the day, but children have stamina,
yes.
and they sit there and listen. Just tell us a little bit about what they learned from that Little Red Schoolhouse that took place 150 years ago, maybe?
Yes, they always have a very interesting docent there who's willing to teach our children the way that the children were taught in the 1800s. And so the children get to participate in a little reading lesson and a math lesson, and so they're really interested in the way the classroom is set up and how all age levels are taught at in the same room, and the activities that they did.
And then there's fun in downtown Sacramento where they
Yes.
can bring their money to shop and eat and...
Yeah, and I think that's the part they look forward to the most.
Yes.
Is shopping in downtown Sacramento. Yes.
Good. Well, thank you very much. It's wonderful. I'm happy that you're